have things been in the time since? There's been a lot of changes going on up at APTERA.
A lot of ups and downs related to fundraising, related to powertrain changes and personnel changes, and the overall shift of a lot of the automotive and mechanical sciences and engineering to our Italian partners.
So if there's work being done in Italy, why aren't they including those things in the updates? Apparently, all the Italian work doesn't come under the banner of transparency.
And so that's created a lot of change within the company, but it's made us much leaner and able to stretch our dollar much further. We had to design an inverter from scratch, one for each wheel, and we just didn't want to have the risk and also spend the bandwidth to productionize the inverter. I think that's something we would do in the future, but to me it represented another level of risk that we could simply avoid just by stepping back and going with something a little more mainstream and proven while we figure out the best use for Elafe in-wheel technology for our vehicle. We didn't want to keep spending money and time in developing something that we didn't have the expertise to develop.
Hear that? The inverter was something that they said, or he's just saying, we didn't have the expertise to do. I recall old videos where they were claiming that these sorts of things were done in-house because they had the ability to do them.
You now have your PI bodies. Tell me about how that's going.
Well, the PI builds are the first pre-production builds, so there's 16 of them, I believe, and those vehicles allow us to do all of the development, so braking, ABS testing, suspension. I think there's 5 for crash test airbag validation in there, thermal, range, etc. The first 3 of those begin construction Tuesday when the Italians arrive. So we've got all the parts from Italy, we've had them trimmed, we've got our chassis parts that arrived, we've got the motors, we've got our own in-house battery pack. And so when Mercury, which is PI2, when Mercury drives by the end of September, it will be production intent BINC, production intent frame geometry, production intent battery pack, BMS, our own design, production intent powertrain. So we'll really be demonstrating all of the production bits that are going to be a production vehicle for the first time.
Notice he did say production intent frame. That frame is the chassis that Chris Anthony said that they were assembling at the end of August as he spoke, and he says they've got it. Yet in the September update, they just show a piece of it.
It won't be a prototype, it won't be an alpha, beta, or gamma. It'll be the production intent vehicle.
And your intent is to get bums in seats, to get those accelerator program supporters driving the cars, and then early next year getting those cars out onto driveways.
Right. The first 16 are mostly for internal use only. I think there's one or two press vehicles, but the first 50 that we're building next year, a portion of those, I would say somewhere between 10 and 20, are going to be for sale for customers. So they're going to be delivered to APTERA customers, hopefully before Q2 of next year, and those will be the first production vehicles that we will ship.
He predicts a PI2 that's drivable by the end of August, then shifts it to the end of September. Then at the end of September just shows a couple of hours of work done, and yet he makes this grand claim that he can get between 10 and 20, hopefully before Q2 starts. Well, I'll be telling the cretin when it comes to what I think of that. I'll say not even one of them is sold before the start of Q2. Not one out of between 10 and 20.
Our mission is we believe every journey should be powered by the sun. That's not changing. So we've taken our solar IP and we've began looking at other non-vehicle sale revenue models for our technology. We've deployed our first airport ground support tug, completely solar powered, at the airport in Salt Lake City for one of the world's largest airlines as part of a pilot program.
Always makes grand statements. So it's one of the world's largest airlines, but it's one tug that's been spotted in Salt Lake City Airport, and it's got dead flat solar panels, the same as what would be installed on a house roof. It's not their IP technology being used at all. There's no curved panels. You can watch that hippie, Raj Jandeep or somebody, who has made a video and shown the one that he could find at Salt Lake City Airport. It's a joke.
Working with RV companies, we're going to be working with school bus companies. We believe demonstrating that solar power on the vehicle can provide most or all the vehicle's needs, that's going to be our focus, period.
Now, if he's working with all these other companies, this flies in the face of him saying that we're laser focused on just getting the PI2 done by the end of September. He contradicts himself, let alone contradicting his fellow CEO.
We believe for it to be sustainable in a commercial sense, it has to become part of the vehicle. It can't be an add-on to the vehicle.
Right.
So imagine so many vehicles out there with glass roofs. Our glass panel would be made to the exact same curvature and shape and strength and just simply bond in place at the factory instead of a clear glass roof. But the advantage of RIP is that we're able to tailor and dial in the exact amount or maximize the amount of solar on the vehicle and make sure that those panels don't degrade over 1 or 2 years because of vibration. We've talked with one company that, they bought the panels from Amazon and put them on a golf cart and had problems with them. Well, of course they are, because they're not designed for vibration. But with our system, they would be able to get more range and a very long life of performance.
We've seen a lot of screenshots and a lot of teasers. When are we going to see like a fully functioning HMI walkthrough?
I would say pretty soon. Definitely this year. Maybe in a few months.
Pretty soon, definitely this year, maybe in a few months.
It's one of the bright spots in the company because of all the information that we're going to be able to share with the consumer, show them real time how solar is working. It's not just a gimmick. They'll be able to see exactly how much power they're making. It's just pretty cool.
Into the future?
I don't have a timeline yet, and the reason why is we're trying to enforce from the top down, a close the book, pencils down mentality. So it would be incongruent of management to then go and task the engineering team with, well, go and think about this right now. I want them laser focused on getting this vehicle in production, and whether it's a different team, a parallel team that handles that integration, it's something that we're going to do later. It's not going to be something that we disrupt this team from launching the vehicle on.
So what they're doing is the polydrop caravans, the Delta airplane pushers, the 1/18th scale toy, the new website, working with schools. He's saying they're doing all these things, and then he says, no, we're going to just do the PI2. He contradicts himself.
And I think these final few months, as you're seeing your production intent chassis and bodies arrive, you say production on those vehicles is starting next week on Tuesday.
Of Green Tech Media, and today we're going to take out a prototype of the all-electric car APTERA wants to bring to market next year.
15 years ago, bringing it out next year. Should have been out 14 years ago. But listen to this guy. He's the one that they're saying they didn't like him because he wanted to make a four-wheel vehicle. Let's see what he says.
The big difference is that the vehicle was designed around aerodynamics and lightweight, which translates into fabulous fuel economy. It only weighs 1,700 pounds, so a traditional subcompact car might be 2,600 to over 3,000 pounds. So about half the weight.
And how much?
We tried a model and we put a fourth wheel on it. And between the added weight and the added friction and the reduction in aerodynamic properties, we actually lost 34% of our fuel economy.
So there you have it. He didn't want to make a fourth wheel. He did a test and found out that it was not viable. Yet all the fanboys say that Fambro and Anthony left because he insisted on making a four-wheel vehicle. When they folded 2 years later and they smashed all their prototypes, there wasn't a single four-wheel prototype to be found anywhere.
So how's it drive? Well, they wouldn't let me drive it. It's a prototype and you don't want to wipe out the street.
He says it's a prototype. Fambro was saying it was production model.
But it was silent, it was quick, it was a lot of fun to be in. I love the gull wing doors, and everybody on the street took a look at it. If you want to get the envy of your friends and neighbors, this could be the car to buy.
Hi, I'm Kurt.
Steve Fambro.
Hi, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks a lot for doing this.
Our pleasure. This is the APTERA 2E. It is the first production vehicle from APTERA Motors in San Diego, California.
The first production vehicle. There you go. Fambro saying it's a production vehicle. The other guy says it's a prototype.
The APTERA 2E is the most fuel efficient, most aerodynamic vehicle in the world. We chose a three-wheel architecture because it was the most efficient way of moving and supporting the vehicle. Even though we have designed the vehicle to meet or exceed all of the federal motor vehicle safety standards, the government still considers us a motorcycle, and they actually rejected our application for a Department of Energy alternative vehicle loan, the one that many concept vehicles from the automotive industry are getting part of that loan program, vehicles that don't even exist. We've pre-sold 4,000 of these, over $100 million worth of vehicles. They go into production at the end of this year, and we were disqualified because we didn't add an inefficient boxy fourth wheel.